are back.
We are back.
Back in business, baby.
It's been a while.
It's been a few weeks. Months, no.
Yeah. Feels like it.
Yeah, it's feels like it's been a long time.
Yeah. How are things going with you guys?
Good.
Yeah.
Some changes.
Yes.
Good changes though.
Exciting
Good changes. Yeah. So I started working part-time. And it's like, I don't even like to say I'm working part-time because it's literally something that I love to do. Mm-hmm. But it was one of those things where it literally fell into my lap. Mm-hmm. And it would have been really stupid not to have pursued it. Even though I was like texting you and like my friend, I'm like, what do you think? You know, and I promise you, every single person was like, oh, that's exactly what you're supposed to be doing. Yeah. I'm like, I know. But that means I have a boss. Uh-huh. That means I have to wake up early. That means I have to commit, you know, and so, yeah.
It's an adjustment.
Yeah.
Especially,
even with the kids, you know, we like sat them down. Yeah. We're like, what do you think? And they're like, yeah, why not? I'm like, are you sure? You know, everything was just yes. So I said yes.
Yeah. So talk about what it is.
Yeah.
Because that's super exciting.
It is. So it's called Mirror Ministries. It's a nonprofit here in Tri-Cities. And it, the whole organization is to help survivors of human trafficking, which is like, if you know anything, I've shared it quite a bit. I don't know if I've actually shared it on here, but we were actually opened our eyes to trafficking in Orange County.
Oh yeah.
When was it? 2 years ago? Something like that. Yeah.
It would be 2 years coming up.
Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's when it really was like, I mean, we saw it. I mean, there was
horrible.
It was terrible. And so from that moment, when we came back home, it was like one of those things where God was like, okay, like you saw it, you can't unsee it.
You can't
look the other way anymore. You can't pretend like it doesn't happen. Yeah. No matter where you are. I mean, we were in Orange County. It was a nice city.
Yeah.
You know, it was like, we were there for another ministry event. And so it was really crazy because we were like seeing all these miracles and all these like miraculous things. And then we get to the hotel and it's like, bam.
Yeah.
In our face. And so when we came back, I started looking into like, what is there anything here? Like, I didn't know.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't know anything that this even existed. Mm-hmm. And so it was like a friend, you know, talking to a friend who had a friend and led me to this organization or this nonprofit. Mm-hmm. And it's pretty cool. I mean, they are the only one here in Tri-Cities, and they're actually opening up a home for minors. Mm-hmm. And I want to say it's the only one in the state that will be open.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's been really exciting because my role in that is to help get volunteers, to help get people to come get training, to then honestly like use your gifting. Like, what is it that you like to do?
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, it doesn't even feel like work.
Yeah.
Because it's just awesome. Like fun to like, I love to connect people, and that's literally what it is.
Yeah.
You know, it's okay, what do you love to do? Okay, perfect. Like this, you know, this gifting would be great here, you know, and then the volunteers feel like, man, I'm making a difference, because they are.
Yeah.
They literally are, whether it's you're researching something for us or you're coming in, you know, to help watch kids, or you're coming, you know, to do different things. Every single piece of it, I mean, it's making a difference. And so it's been super fun. Yeah, I love it. It's called Mirror Ministries. So if you want to volunteer, here's my plug.
No, well, that's really cool, because I'm glad we're talking about it, because I know that for me, when I went through the training, I remember I would come home, honestly, like I had to process. Like it's a lot, even going through the training.
And it's heavy. Like, I'm not going to say it's not heavy.
Yeah. Well, and because they give you statistics about your city, and I'm sitting there listening to this, and I'm like, this is happening in our backyard. Like, you're telling me like 10 minutes from my house, there's kids who are being trafficked every night. Like, to me, that was like, what?
Yeah, I did a poll on social media to see like, hey, you know, did you know that in Tri-Cities, over 200 kids are trafficked every night? And I want to say 90% of the people had no idea. I didn't know until I knew. You know?
Yeah, and it teaches you like so much, like how it actually works, who these kids are being trafficked by, you know, like, I mean, all of it. I feel like it just brings awareness.
Yes.
And that's what needs to happen, because most people have no idea. Like, I would come and talk to my family, my sisters, my husband, and people are clueless.
Yeah.
They're clueless. They don't know what things to look for, like all of that. And so like, it's really cool. I'm so excited.
Yeah. So there's a saying, or not a saying, but there's some words that I was reading on the website. Cause I'm like still trying to get into all this, you know, I'm like, okay, I know what the mission is and I'm behind it 100%, you know, but I'm like still trying to figure out like how to come about all these things. And the founder of it, she actually wrote something on the website and there was a piece on there that literally just hit me and I'm like, this is it. And she said, empathy invokes justice.
Wow.
And I was like, whoa, that's it.
Whoa.
So when you think about going through the trainings, like it is heavy. I mean, you know, it's like you get home and you're like, I need to go to Jesus right now because I mean, if you carry that and you just take it for what it is, I mean, every part of you wants to go just start fighting people, you know? And so, but there's something about empathizing, right? With these girls, boys, it doesn't matter. It's like, wait a minute, they're suffering through this. And you can either, you know, pretend like you don't know. Yeah. Which honestly, I mean, that's just going to eat at you. Or turn it to invoke justice. You know, and how do you invoke justice? Well, you come and volunteer. If you can't volunteer your time, you know, give money to this organ. Like there's so many things you can do. Bring awareness. Talk about it. You know, like ask people, hey, have you heard of your ministries? And so it's really cool because they're starting to go into the schools and just different places. They work really well with like the police departments, you know, and it's like it's starting to become more, the awareness is starting to get out there. So yeah, it's been fun. It's also been an adjustment for the house, but it's good.
Yeah. Well, I think like it's just you because so you're a volunteer coordinator. And I think that's the thing is like you're so good at pulling the gifts out of people. And so like plugging people into the right area. Because I know I volunteered. Yeah. Lord, I'm so sorry.
Oh, no, I told Arina, I said, you will come and keep volunteering.
No, like,
okay, so find the right fit.
So, like, I'm not a confrontational person. So please tell me why I signed up to call people and ask for donations. Like, why? No, I should have just came and like, I don't know, did like stuffed some envelopes, you know, I don't know, babysat some babies, I don't know, but not calling us for money. Yeah. Like that is the last thing I, you know, but anyways,
but that's part of it too, is like you learn.
Figuring out.
Yes. Like, you're like, okay, that was not for me.
No,
you know,
and never again.
The lady that, she's actually still there that was in this spot, she's amazing at that too. Yeah. And so she's kind of helped me, or she is helping me like, okay, understand, like, you know, okay, that didn't really work for that person. You know, it's like, okay, let's try something else, you know, so. Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, they put me in active status, but Jana's gonna fix that.
We're gonna fix that. We're gonna get her active.
Yes, we will. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, that's exciting. Yeah.
How about you?
What's new with us? Well, there's a few things that are new.
Oh
no, not that one. Not that one.
We'll wait for one.
Wait, one.
Okay.
But I don't know. Well, actually, no, I didn't talk about that on here.
I know, but I feel like we have.
Yeah, no, we haven't. So we have been building our dream home since last July.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It's beautiful, gorgeous home, dream home. But about probably at this point 4 months ago, God has been speaking to us to put the house on the market. Yeah. And for the last 4 months, I have been fighting him on this. Yeah. You know, because it was like tough. So the way it started was my husband had 2 dreams. If you know me, you know that, you know, I wholeheartedly believe in dreams. Like God speaks to us, I mean, so many different issues, you know. And so when he told me the dreams, I'm like, those are from the pit of hell. Like, no, God is not.
Satan, I rebuke you.
Literally, I'm like, God is not telling us that. Like, I'm like, you just have been thinking about it. I'm like, I don't know what it is, but that is not it, you know. So 2 months go by. And then we had Pastor Clyde in our church, and he was preaching on hearing the voice of God. And I remember I'm like sitting there, and I'm like, God, I want more. I want to hear your voice more. Yeah. And I mean, Jan, I remember loud and clear. That was probably the clearest I've heard God say. Yeah. I want you to sell the home, put the house on the market. And as he's preaching, I'm like, Lord, I want to hear your voice more because I am rebuking. I'm like, that is not from God.
Said God's voice.
And I remember Pastor Clyde did an altar call. Yes, and I remember walking up there because I'm like, I want to hear your voice more. And you guys, it was louder and louder and louder, and I did not tell anybody. I went home. I would cry. I'm like, God, it can't be. Like, you cannot be asking me this. Because, like, that's been my dream. That's been my desire. Like, this is something we've been working on for so long. And,
for years.
Yeah. And so I'm like, no, this cannot be it, And I remember for 3 days. It was just, torment. Because it's not leaving me. Yeah. And I'm like crying and just fighting on every day in prayer. Like, God, no, I'm not going to tell Michael. Yeah. Because I know when I'm going to tell him, he's going to be like, I told you so 2 months ago. So finally, I'm like, I have to talk to him. Yeah. So I call him. I'm just crying. I'm like, I think God is saying this. And he's like, I told you so, And so, we talked, and I'm like, okay, let's not rush. Let's just think about this. Let's just pray more, And I remember another thing that God told me was, he told me so loud and clear. He said, but I want you to finish this house as if you're doing it for yourself. Like, as if you guys are planning to move in there and live in there. And to me, it felt like a dagger at that moment. Like, what? Like, I can't just go in and get it done and over with and just finish it. Like, and literally,
fine, I'll sell it.
Yeah. And he's like, nope. Yeah. And that was I had to overcome, because it's pride in me, like, no, like, why am I going to make it nice for somebody else? So like, God had to show and work that out, But, so we're like, okay, we're going to be halfway obedient, and we're going to call our realtors, and we're going to tell them to just put up a sign.
I'm going to pause you there. Because I remember when we had just recorded. Yeah. And I was like, what's wrong? Like, because you were just like I knew something was wrong. Yeah. Like, I didn't want to tell you. Yeah. And I'm like, what? Like, what is happening? And you finally told me. Yeah. And I remember just being like, that kind of makes sense, because we had heard stories. Yeah. And I remember when you told me, I remember you saying, I will never do that. And I was like, uh-oh. Yeah. Because when you say never, but here's what I wanted to say is, in this whole time, though, you were also in the season of starting to give stuff up. You were starting to be obedient in the little things. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right. Not knowing that this was going to be asked. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
I know. I remember it was actually probably, actually wasn't too long after that Michael had the dream. So we went to a financial intensive at Crestview, and we were sitting with one of our, our friends, leaders. And we look up to this guy, right? Yeah. And he's sharing with us all these crazy stories of they bought a house, dream house, God told them to give it away, God told them to sell, they had blueprints, and then God told them,
I think they gave away a house, and then they wound up selling their dream house.
Yeah. Like crazy stories, right? And I remember sitting there, and I told myself, I remember sitting there and to myself, I'm like, I would never do that. And then I told it to Jana, when we were together, I'm like, Jana, dude, I would never do that. And then here we are. Yeah. So never say never. Never say never. Never say never to God. Are you kidding me or not?
Yeah, no. But I think it was cool how he also prepped you. Yeah. Like, he started with the little things. Yeah. He did. And then kind of led up to the big thing. Yeah. And it was like, okay. So anyway, so you're halfway.
So we're halfway obedient. I'm like, okay, I will be okay if you just call the realtors and tell them to put up a sign in the front yard. I'm like, you know what? If God wants this house sold, he will have the buyers just randomly drive by. Michael is like, okay, fine, whatever. Yeah. He's like, not going to argue with me at this point. So we do that. And then it's been in the works for the last 3 weeks. We're he's like, babe, I just don't think we're being obedient all the way. I'm like, what do you mean? We've done everything, Yeah. So he's like, we're just not. He's like, we're not being obedient all the way. He's like, okay, so if we don't sell this house and we move it, how are you going to feel? Yeah. Are you going to actually feel like you were obedient all the way? And I had to answer. I had to be honest with myself. I'm like, shoot, I won't. Yeah. I will not, So we finally listed the house. It's on the market. And then honestly, I'm like, it feels so good. Yeah. I have such peace about it, because I'm like, I know I did everything that God asked me. Whatever happens, happens. And if it sells, great. If it doesn't, then we'll get to live in our house, but we know we were obedient.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. So that's what's new with us.
I know, I drove by today. It's so pretty.
Yeah.
I'm like, I need to see the actual, like, I can't do the whole blueprint. Like, imagine and vision. I'm like, no, just show, So today I was like, gosh, it looks so good.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking, because like, they started like putting tile and the flooring is almost done. And like, I mean, once it's going to be all done, I think I'm going to have probably a moment where I'm just going to have to go there.
Oh, yeah.
Cry and just because even for me, I'm like, okay, it's not done all the way.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, okay, whatever, like we did it, it's fine. But I think like once it's going to be move-in ready and knowing that we possibly won't, it's going to be like, wow. But it's okay. You know what? God is just teaching me it's okay to give up possessions. Like, and honestly, it's like, what are we giving up?
Right.
Like, he hasn't asked me to gift yet. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, that would be different. So I'm like, okay. I'm like, stop. You're not giving anything up. You're just being obedient because, the reward is still there. I mean, reward is going to be there even if you gift it, but like, I'm not giving anything up.
Yeah.
So I have to, change that perspective.
Yeah. Well, even if you think about like, I mean, he's the one that provides.
Exactly.
So it's like, okay, well, that's what you're asking, success equals obedience.
Yeah.
Right. We know this.
Yeah.
And so as hard as it is, like the more, I mean, the cool thing, I'm just thinking like, it's pretty cool though, that he trusts you. Mm-hmm. He trusts you to do that.
Yeah.
Because if he can trust you, the smaller things become bigger and bigger and bigger. So,
well, yeah. And like, me and Michael, we talked about it. We're like, okay, we always pray and we always say, God, like we want to be kingdom funders, like trust us with finances.
Right.
And so I'm like, this is a test.
Totally.
Like, are you going to want to hold on or are you going to actually let go when I ask you to let go?
Yeah.
And I'm like, we cannot ask God, he will, we can't ask for more and not be willing to, to be obedient.
Yeah.
When he asks us to be, so. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's probably the biggest update.
Yeah.
I mean, there is another one, but that one's coming.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
Okay. So we did go to Texas.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
We went to Texas. How long ago was that? 2 weeks ago?
2 weeks ago.
Man. I thought it was a lot longer. 2 weeks ago.
I know it does. It like feels long ago, but then not really.
It's true.
Just like everything else.
I know.
Like.
We're in February already.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was really cool. That was like super last minute.
Yeah.
Again, we were here recording, and then it was just like, let's do it.
Let's do it. Yeah. And then my sisters decided to join, which I was like totally wasn't expecting.
It was so awesome. Yeah.
But that was really cool. I mean, I can totally share testimony even that, like the provision, because it was a trip that was like, man, like it's gonna be a little bit tough to pull off right now.
Yeah.
So I was just like, God, if you provide the finances, I'll go. And just like the way that God provided the hotel, I had to buy a flight ticket, which wasn't bad.
Yeah.
The price wasn't bad. And
we
then
had to drive a little bit, but it was all good.
But it was all good.
It's worth it.
Yeah. And then I showed up there and got a free ticket because the lady had somebody who didn't show up. And she's like, she just told me to gift us. So here you go.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, I remember I was just like crying.
Yeah.
And then we had an amazing friend who was hosting us who
oh my gosh,
would not allow us to pay for a single meal.
Amazing.
You know who you are.
Yes.
And I remember at first, like pride started, seeping in, and I'm like, no, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, we're like finances are tough, but like, I can pay for my own meals.
Yeah.
And then God had to correct me.
Yeah.
He's like, you asked for provision.
Yeah.
And you're not even allowing me to do to provide.
Yeah.
Because of pride. So that was just so cool. Like totally like God provided everything.
I felt the same. At first I was like, no, well fine then. I'll just pay for, you know what I mean? Like that whole thing.
Yeah.
And then same God was just kind of like, just take the blessing.
Yeah.
like, how many times have you done this? You know, because we love that's like, love hosting people. Are you kidding me? Like, me and my husband, we love doing that and love being able to just bless people, you know, especially when they're from out of town. So anyways, that was like, okay, I'm not going to expect it for sure, you know, but okay, you know, I'm just going to let it be what it is. So she totally blessed us.
And, oh my gosh, above and beyond.
Yeah. Totally. Like, especially because we weren't even planning on going.
Yeah. And then we were like, man, we're going to need to rent a car. And then okay, maybe we can catch a ride, but maybe we'll Uber.
It's fine. Yeah. But you know what's cool about that too is we also didn't wait.
Yes.
Until we had all the things and we just were like, okay, God, like if we're just gonna do it. Let's do it. And then it's like, where are we gonna stay? I don't know yet, you know? And then it was like all these other things and okay, what about the car? Well, maybe they have a shuttle, you know? And so I'm like calling the hotel and then, you know, I'm like, okay, surely now that we have 4 of us, she's probably not gonna have room. But you know, but same, God's like, just ask her.
Yeah. That's a good one.
So I'm like asking, you know, and then she's like, yeah, totally, I got you. I'm like, what? I didn't, you know, and so it was just, like, she's like picked us up, all the things. Like God just totally provided the whole way through.
Yeah.
So
that's so cool. I didn't even think about that. That's so true. Just gotta take
and then just the power and revelation we got from there.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
You know, because the thing is we don't have to go to these, you know, you don't have to go to conferences, you don't have to go to these places to get the revelation. But here's what I'm going to say, because I think sometimes we also just hang up our excuse on that.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, well, I'll just stay in my living room and have a come to Jesus moment. Yeah, you totally can. I've done that.
Oh, yeah, many times.
And honestly, as a day-to-day, that's what you should be doing.
Yes, I was just going to say that.
But there are times in your life when, one, you know, okay, I need to get out.
Yeah.
I think Jenny talked about this on one of the podcasts. There's principalities that are, you know, in our region. And there's something about physically leaving and going somewhere else and getting, you know, just taking a breath. Like, oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Clear vision.
Yeah. You get clear vision, you know, strategy, all the things.
Yeah.
It just something shifts, right? But I'll also say there's also power in going into a community where you know that they prioritize Jesus.
Yes.
You know, and this isn't like, hear me, love the local church, obviously, right? But there's something about going when there's you're talking, there's how many women there? 1,400?
Yeah.
So you're talking all these different women from all kinds of churches, from all kinds of regions, all kinds of states. And we're all coming in together into unity.
Yes.
Like, you can't tell me that's not powerful.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I'm not saying that we have to like chase all these conferences. Like, ain't nobody got time for that. Okay. But what I will say is, you know, if you feel like you're getting a pull, we have Her Voice coming up in July.
Yep.
Get there. There's literally no excuse. It's free.
Yeah.
Okay. But same thing. You're talking all these women coming together with one mission, and that's Jesus.
Yeah.
You know, and so what happened was, and we can start talking about this, but they really, again, I'm not going to tell you, they came up with this Bible verse that was like, oh my gosh, I've never seen that in the Bible before.
Yeah.
Where did that come from? I'm like, no, but there's something that happened when the revelation hits and it just like goes deeper and deeper. The intercession part in itself and prayer.
That was for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Powerful. Hearing other women's testimonies. I've heard these testimonies so many times, but yet still, I'm like, whoa. It hit different.
It did.
Right? Because we're in a different season. We're in a different perspective. We're in a different, there's something shifting.
Yeah.
And so God knows that.
Of course.
You know, and so it was powerful all the way around. And then when they just hit it like towards the end, you know, talking about communion and the blood.
That was just,
literally life-changing.
Life-changing.
The way that we see things now, it's life-changing. So maybe just, you know, share whatever you got there, and then we can go into the testimony of on the way home. But
yeah, so for me, my biggest thing that I feel like I took away in the season of life where we're at right now, it's the intercession.
Yeah.
Like understanding that sometimes there is nothing that you can physically do to change what's in front of you. Like there's nothing you can do. But there is one thing that you can do.
Yeah.
And it's fall on your face and intercede.
Yeah.
And I just remember hearing like the two ladies that they were saying that God had asked them to intercede 4 hours a day. I mean, I'm not there yet by any means. Yeah. But one thing that I after coming, I mean, that is I wake up and any chance that I have, it is I'm interceding, I'm praying in tongues, just not knowing for what it is, but God knows. And sometimes He reveals, like I know exactly what I'm praying for, you know, and sometimes I have no idea. Yeah. But it's just been like I can feel the shift. I can feel the shift in my home. I can feel the shift in my kids. I can feel the shift in me. Yeah. Like it just feels so different. And as soon as I wake up in the morning and I feel off, I just start interceding. And then you can feel the change, you know? And so it's just been so amazing. Like to me, I feel like, I feel like that's been it's just been life-changing. Yeah. Like that has been absolutely life-changing, because then you're like, you're not trying to change, you're not trying to manipulate a situation, you're not trying to get in there and try and do it in your own strength, you know, like there's none of that. Strife goes away, perfectionism, I mean all of it, because you just surrender. You're like, only God. Only God. And I think it's in those situations in life where it's like, you know that only God can come in and only He can change it. Yeah. So for me, it was the intercession part that just was, I mean, it's just been life-changing.
Yeah, because the thing about intercession is it's taking the worry.
Yeah.
And you're just like, okay, God, I trust you with it.
Yeah.
You know, and I love that they gave an illustration of literally taking on somebody's burden.
Yes.
I'm going to put that on me. Yeah. So you're feeling this way? Okay, so I'm going to put that on me. And I'm gonna go in intercession and pray. Yeah. Until I feel this thing fall off, lift off of me. Yeah. You know, and I have been through seasons where I've done the hours of intercession. I mean, it was a short season because of children, and I had to actually get stuff done. But I remember like that feeling of, wait a minute, I can actually just pray it through. And I think that's why walking out, just even in Christian, I mean, because think about it. How many Christians do you know that are like anxiety filled, always worried, always fearful? You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's just because of their stuff. Not even like, not even walking into, like, that's why I think of, even with Mirror Ministries, you think about human trafficking. It's a big thing.
It is.
But if you don't know how to go into prayer, if you don't know how to, okay, I'm going to go and intercede right now because this actually is not for me to carry.
Exactly. Yeah.
If you don't know how to do that, it's going to feel really heavy.
Yeah, because the thing is, we know that Bible talks about taking on the burden. But if we only take on the burden, but we don't know how to release the burden, right. And how do we release it? Through intercession. Yeah. But and that's what I feel like that's what happens a lot of the time. And that's why Christians, we get so burnt out. Yes. And we're like, man, I mean, I can only help one person. Right. Why? Because we take it on, and then that's all we do. That's all we do. And then we just, when it just feels so heavy, and you're like, man, I'm sorry, I cannot help another woman, But it's like, no, your job is to take it on, feel what they're feeling, understand what they're going through, and then release it.
Yeah. So let's just talk about what happened at the Grammys.
Yeah.
I honestly haven't seen the whole video. I'll be completely honest. Neither. Didn't watch the Grammys. Yeah. I started seeing stuff floating around about this song, which totally just, I can't even with the song, to be honest with you. Yeah. And my first reaction, if I'm being really honest, was, dude, yeah, gross.
Disgusting.
Sickening. Right? Which it is, right? It is to a point. Like, I'm thinking of my kids. Like, I went and watched Avatar on Friday. And so I am like, come at my kids. Like, I will fight you, Yeah. But I saw that, and that's my first reaction was that. And then God was like, okay, but that's actually a person. And so I was reading, there's this lady we follow, her name's Cindy McGill. She's complete fire, you know,
my gosh.
And she wrote this thing, and pretty much saying, like, these people got interviewed. I don't know their names, so I don't know what to call them. I don't know. Like
Sam Smith.
Okay.
And then Kim.
Some lady,
Kim someone.
So they got interviewed backstage and pretty much said they actually had wanted to be a part of religion and realized that religion didn't want them.
Wow.
And so then they said, okay, fine. And so literally, you know, I'm reading this, I'm thinking of my husband's story, right? Because same thing, he was like going, you know, I don't want to tell his whole testimony, but he was going to a church and the youth group, and he started asking a lot of questions because he was like, wait a minute, what you just said here isn't matching up with what you're telling us to do. That's like traditional stuff. And the guy told him, you know, you have the devil inside of you. And he said, okay, well then, yeah, I'll take that on and I'll show you that I have the devil inside of me, you know, and started doing bad things. And so I think of these, when I read that, that's what I thought of. And I thought, man, these people could be pastors. You know what I'm saying? Like, you think about that.
Yeah.
Like,
seriously,
they just took on what somebody might have told them and are just, okay, well, let me show you. And so instead of just getting mad and, oh, that's sickening, and, I can't believe, we have to be praying. We have to intercede for them. That's all that we can do.
That's all you can do.
Yes. If, you know, I'm also like, okay, put up your boundary, right?
Of course.
Of course, I'm not going to like show this to my kids. Of course, I'm not going to do all these things. But when it comes to a fight, it has to be an intercession. It has to be in prayer.
Well, I think because people feel like that if they are saying what we're talking about, if they say it like that, then they're like justifying, or they're saying in some sort of way that it's okay. That is not what we're saying. What we're saying, because like it was the same thing. I mean, I woke up and I went on Instagram, and that was the first thing that I saw, post after post after post. And then I went back to sleep, and I remember like I just kept hearing the song in my sleep, and then I just woke up and I just started praying. Because it just felt so heavy, you know. I mean, the song itself, it's triggering. I mean, you hear it. Obviously, we understand the whole point is to break a family unit. That's what the song is about. But I just started thinking, like you said, like God just started speaking to me, like, well, what do you think his story is? Like, how did he get here? You know, like trying to imagine and understand, because it's not, somebody doesn't just wake up and say like, this is what I'm gonna do. And we understand that they're demonically influenced. I mean, that's clear. And it says we don't fight against flesh and blood, you know, so we're not fighting against these people. We're fighting against what's influencing them, you know. But then like another thing that I just started thinking is like, man, but like my heart hurts, because he will, like, if somebody's not going to pray for him, like, where is he going to end up? You know? So like that, you know, that in itself is like, man, just pray for him. Because my initial was like, oh no, no, hell no. Like, that's literally what I just wanted to say. But then I'm like, no. So when
you think about that, even in just the everyday interaction, like how many times do we look at someone and be like, oh, like they don't deserve my prayers? Like, come on. Like, as if, you know what I mean?
But that's religion.
It is. It is.
And
and that's where it's like, okay, instead of, I mean, I guess this would be a really good challenge. If you ever catch yourself being like,
that's good.
Start praying. Literally start praying for whatever that is. You know, that's why, like, even again, with the whole human trafficking thing, it's like people can get weirded out because it's like they get scared or like fearful or like what ifs. Okay, so you sitting at home doing that thing is actually not helping either. Like, you know,
well, and I was thinking too, like with this whole, you know, Sam Smith and this whole thing, I was just thinking, I'm like, okay, what is it actually gonna do if all of us as Christians are just gonna go look at it and be hateful?
And share sickening. You know?
And that's it. What is it actually gonna do? It's gonna do nothing. Absolutely nothing. Nobody's winning.
No.
You interceding in prayer is going to do something.
That is actually the thing. That's actually the thing that is going to do something. It's not just like, okay, well, I guess I'll pray. You know? It's like, no, that's actually going to be the thing that's going to change something. You know? So,
it should become our go-to. So,
and that was something that hit really big. And it is something that really was like, you know, I know we talked about it at the conference, but one of the things I came back to the hotel and I'm like, man, like even in church, you know, like the question I kept asking is, what are we doing in church?
Talk about that.
You know, like what is our goal here? You know, because we're coming from a church that is all about numbers, you know, so we've always been like, we're not going to do that. Like, no way. You know? But at the same time, there's still people out there that need Jesus. Like, if this guy, what's his name?
Sam Smith.
Like, come to my church.
Yeah, I mean, imagine.
Okay, so that's the thing, though, is we say these things, and then are we ready to actually receive them and pray for them and love on them?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
But and that's the thing, is we never will be unless we're gonna actually do it day in,
100,
day
yes,
out.
and that's kind of why I was like, what are we doing at church? Because it's like, we can say that for a Sunday, but if you see them on Monday, how are you gonna act?
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be. It can be anybody that you don't agree with, anybody that you think is not living up to your standard.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, I remember when we came back and when we were walking out from church, Giovanni said something that's just stuck with me. And I mean, obviously, like, you get it, but I don't know why when he said it, it just stuck with me. He said, but what are we going to do to make sure that we have this fire? Because, you know, me and Jana came from the conference, we're on fire.
Well, we got to tell the testimony, because that was like, that was enough, I think.
Yeah, and so, you know, we're like, we're on fire, you know, and everything. And like, he said that, and it stuck with me because how many times we went and we, you know, you get fired up and then you come home and nothing, you know? And it just, I'm like, okay, I wake up and I hear that. What are you going to do to keep the fire going? You know? And it's like, I know for me, this is it right now. In this season of life, this is it. And I just want to say, like, it might look different for everybody. Like, for me as a mom, I cannot carve out necessarily right now 4 hours to do that. But washing dishes, driving, pickup, laundry, you know, like those simple makeup, like, you know, shower, like, and you will be surprised, like 15 minutes here, 10 minutes here, and like it accumulates. You know, it does not have to be an hour, you know, long each increment or 4 hours. You know, it's like, it's when you can. But when it becomes a habit, you don't even notice. Like, I'm telling you, my kids, they stopped asking. Because at first, especially Alec, he'd be like, Mom, what are you doing? So I had to pause and explain, you know, or he'd be like, why are you crying? You know, but now they don't even ask. It's like, Mom is doing, you know, her thing, and then William, you know, he'll even try to, you know, repeat, you know, so it's so cute. But so that's the thing, is it becomes part of your life, and that's it. So but
it's true. Yeah, it's good. Okay, so I think the other thing that really stuck with me was the power of the blood of Jesus. And I mean, how many times have we talked about, we've taken communion? I mean, we're like, yes, Jesus, like, we know you died on the cross for us. We know all these things and truly believe it and truly know it. But there was something that just, I mean, it got implanted in it. I mean, it was like, whoa. Like, the blood of Jesus is literally enough
for everything.
Like, you know, and it sounds like so simple, but it was just like this revelation of, that's all we need.
It just hit.
It did. And so, so we're coming back, we're driving, a little delirious, if I'm being honest, because we're so tired.
I mean,
4 hours
all day, driving
drove late at night. So we're driving to about 1 a.m. And I'm not kidding you guys, 5 minutes from a house, if that.
Yeah, right by your house.
I get that. And we're driving, and we're like, up ahead, we see this guy sitting down. He's eating these chips. And all of a sudden, he just completely falls back. And you know, like when somebody slowly, like, I'm going to lay down. It wasn't that. It was hard as a rock, just completely out.
Collapsed.
Yeah. And so we were like, did everybody just see that? You know, like, what do we do? Because I mean, we're also thinking it's 1 o'clock in the morning, you know?
Yeah, there's no cars.
And we're like looking at each other like, okay, come on. We got to turn around, you know? So we turn around and go into the parking lot, and he's laying there. And we're like, wait, what? Like, we can't tell. Like, is he just, you know, what happened? Like, he's passed out? Like, and so we're like looking at him, and we're like right up to him.
Yeah. I mean,
so it's not like it was like far. We're like literally
what, 20, 30 feet.
Yeah. Like, we could get out and walk right to him. And we're like, he's not, I mean, cause he's like straight on his back. So we can see that he is not breathing.
Yeah. And he's like a little heavier. So you could see his stomach.
Belly,
I mean, it's not moving,
not breathing. And we're like, okay. So obviously we're going to call 911 first. So we call 911, tell them, hang up the phone, and we started praying right away. We started praying. Okay, I'm gonna call 911. Call 911. And all of a sudden, I see his stomach just start kind of moving. I started like breathing. We're like, oh, okay, he's breathing. And then it stopped.
Yeah.
And we're like, okay. So we're like, you know what? Like, cause it's like, you know, when you're facing something, it's like, hey, pray to practicals, do the spiritual.
Yeah.
What do I do? You know?
Yeah.
And I remember we're just kind of like looking at each other, and finally we're like, okay, we're gonna pray.
Yeah.
And so knowing that, you know, we did the practical, we knew the ambulance was coming, and we just started like, and we were tired. So we weren't like
going
ham. No, we were like, okay.
Yeah.
And like, it almost felt like we like got into this like pocket of, okay, God, we trust you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it was just like, okay, well, we know that the blood of Jesus, because we know this now. We know that we know this is enough. God breathed into him. And literally he just went, and his whole belly just went up. And
like, no, it first like collapsed. Yeah. And then went, I mean, you could tell like when somebody takes their deep first breath, like that is what it looked like.
That's what it looked like. And we were like,
we
just kind of like, okay.
Yeah.
So then he's still laying there, but he's breathing. We can see him breathing. Okay, God, wake up his body. And then his wrist and his arm starts moving. Just moving.
Yeah.
Not even lifting up, just moving. Okay. Like, we're still kind of like, is this really happening?
Yeah.
Like, okay, God, completely wake up his body and have him sit up. And he just, boop.
No, literally, like as if nothing happened. I honestly, like, he almost looked confused. Like,
he did. He was looking around. He was like, wait, what just happened?
Yeah.
Like, he just sits up. He starts looking around, and he grabs his chips and starts eating.
Yeah.
And we were like, wow.
Yeah.
So we're like, thank you, Jesus. We know that, you know, the ambulance is still coming. You know, we didn't call him and tell him, because we wanted him to obviously still get checked out.
Yeah.
So we wait there, and he's just eating, okay. So we're like, all right. So we head home, and I get home, and, you know, we're talking, and we're like, wow, I can't believe that just happened. Yeah. Like, okay, God, you know, and, we get home, and I'm still like kind of tripping out, if I'm being honest. So I'm like, did that seriously just happen? Like, I don't know if that just happened. Am I just delirious right now? And I'm like unpacking a little bit here and there, because I'm like wide awake at this point. And I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm going to wait up, because I get the text message that they've been dispatched. And so it says they're going to call me. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to wait up until they call me, just to confirm, like, just to make sure. And immediately God convicted me, and he said, why are you doubting something I literally just showed you?
Yeah.
I am telling you, he was dead and now he's alive. What else do you need?
Wow.
And I'm like, whoa. And so I started crying. I'm like, God, I'm sorry that I even doubted. Like, I mean, come on. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, it literally happened in front of us, and here I'm still wanting like the 5, you know, give me the proof and the proof and the proof, you know? And he's like, seriously?
Yeah.
Like, come on. And so they never called me, never to tell me anything.
Wow.
So I don't even know, but it was one of those things where I had to just, same thing, I had to just let it go. I said, okay, you know what? He's in your hands. And God, the fact that you allowed us to be, there was nobody else out there.
No.
The fact that he allowed us to just be in that place, like, thank you, Jesus, that you, like, all of it. Like, if that whole weekend was a setup for that moment for that guy, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It was worth it.
Yeah. That's so good.
Yeah. So that was like, after that, I'm like, God, I believe you for anything. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, that's literally the power. The Bible talks about us having the authority.
Yes.
That's what we were made for. But that was the revelation that I got there. That we all have the authority when we accept Jesus as our Lord and Savior. We all have that authority. But you get the power from the revelation of knowing that the blood was enough.
Yes.
And that was what I feel like, okay, all of a sudden, now I know I hold the authority, but I also know that his power is in me.
Yes.
You know, so I don't know, had that been, 2 days before that, I don't know if it would have been the same outcome. I mean, who knows, right? Because it's God, the one that's saving him. But I don't know if I would have been bold enough to actually understand and believe.
Yeah, well, that's amazing. The whole thing was just so crazy. But I think that's it. It's one thing to know something, but it's completely different when you actually have the full revelation of it. It just hits you different. Like, you're like, man, the blood of Jesus is literally enough for everything.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of us believing, So, that's awesome.
Yeah. It's been fun.
Yes. It's been fun.